All right. Hi, everyone. Hello. So, yeah, I'm going to be talking about IRSeC. Ready? This is me. Really quick. Second year cybersecurity major. I am your head of education. Do not ask what I did this past summer. Uh, maybe surviving this 22 credit semester. If you want to know what it's like to have no free time, do that and be in RITSEC. I'm on CCDC. I was on black team for IRSEC. Infra. I was on red team. I'm on ops. Oh yeah, I thought this was funny. This is a picture of me blue teaming IRSEC last year. Okay, so yeah, what I'm going to talk about. Yeah, let me move my speaker notes. Hold on. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about what it was like being on black team, behind the scenes stuff about the specifics of what infra does, especially because I think a lot of people kind of just see a competition and they're like, they don't understand what goes on behind it. And then my thoughts, my personal experience in it, because what I'm going to talk about in IRSEC is going to be different from like what other people saw, because I was like busy doing certain things. And also, please think of questions while I'm talking and then ask me at the end, because I think it would be more useful for you guys to ask me what you want to know about IRSEC, especially if I don't cover something specific. So please think of questions. Okay, I guess I have to include what is IRSEC. This is just ripped from like one of our announcements, but yeah, it's one of our red versus blue competitions. It is geared towards beginners in cybersecurity. I guess you don't have to be a cybersecurity major for anything RITSEC related, but yeah, I mean, a lot of us are. What else? Yeah, we do it every fall. Instant response, yeah, it stands for Instant Response Security Competition. And it's really fun. And the red team are students from our RITSEC red team, as opposed to an ISTS. It's not students, it's like alumni and like professional people and sponsors, I think. Yeah, and that's a picture of this past IRSEC. That's a picture of the last one last year. I'm in that picture somewhere. And then an overview of the black team. So, infrastructure. That's what I was on. That's what Ariana was on. That's what I don't see anyone else here. Well, sorry, I was talking about infra. Um, Drew was on infra. Not this IRSEC though, but he did help us a lot. So, what does infrastructure do? We write all the Terraform for deploying the actual competition. I'll also go into Terraform and Ansible and where the competition is and all that stuff. But as an overview, I'm also just like reading from the document that explains what each black team does. We write all the Ansible for the management network hosts and services, and then we deploy and maintain those management network hosts and services. We deploy the teams with the images, so the boxes that the blue team touches, usually Linux and Windows. We support all the other black teams with any problems they might have. And then during the competition, we do reverts and like host redeploys if that's necessary. And just, yeah, we support all the other black teams again. It's kind of like the first team that gets started. That's like the groundwork. And then going into that, actually, Linux, Windows, those both are kind of responsible for building and maintaining those specific images for the competition. So like if Infra puts up the box, Linux is going to go in and run their Ansible on it to get all the users and whatever else is needed for the competition onto there. Also deploy the scored and critical services, talked about users, and then make sure that like the hosts are usable during the competition. For Windows especially specifically, they prepare the infra for red team tool deployment, so like removing Defender. Yeah, Linux and Windows are pretty similar, like tasks. It's just Linux specific and Windows specific. Injects, those are the little tasks that you do as blue team during the competition, other than like threat hunting and like finding stuff on your computer. So injects, they create the injects, like they actually think of the tasks that you're supposed to be doing. And then they really think about fitting into the theme of the competition and getting those cool elements. And yeah, it's a lot of like creativity and organization in that role. The logging team, they deploy the logging infrastructure for us to monitor the competition and the solution for the teams to use. The goal with logging is to have more visibility over the competition so we can solve things like if we find out that someone deleted users that they weren't supposed to delete, that's going to be logged, and that's how like point deduction works if we can have that to make sure. And logging also helps like the rest of the black team troubleshoot. Scoring, so usually we would deploy something called ScoreStack, but this year we use Scorify, written by one of our alumni, Max Fusco, and it's still in progress. We're helping him like work on it. And yeah, scoring, they basically like make scoring happen, write the check definitions, stuff like that. And then I was gonna talk about how you get onto Black Team a little bit. I'm sure you guys saw the announcements of like, fill out this form and you can be on Black Team. Yeah, that's kind of all you do. I should have asked Maxim how he does it specifically, but basically you fill out the form and based on the needs of Black Team, you can get onto a team and you can learn. And that's how I learned a lot of stuff this way, because my first time Black teaming was in ISTS. So, let's talk about the competition. I was kind of on two sides. I was on Black Team and Red Team. I spent a lot of time Black teaming during the competition as well. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about that, and it's going to weigh heavily towards infra. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. So, we spent 31.75, I counted, hours in the club room. So, infra met every Sunday for starting in like early September. And yeah, we spent a lot of time doing this stuff. And this is like the hours just like for one person, just like the dedicated time frame, and not including like throughout the week working on issues. So, I mean, it's a lot of time. It's almost 40 hours. We sent 1,391 messages in the infra group chat. Yeah, I just thought like big numbers were cool. I just counted all this. Like this is the exact number. 2,451 lines of Ansible. And I'd estimate like at least 3,000 lines of Terraform. I did not get to that. Maybe I'll let you know someday. But it's a lot of stuff. Yeah. 247 commits. I think I need to work on my commit messages because like it's just like stuff that doesn't work sometimes. But yeah. This is kind of how it goes. Next, let me talk about more of like the timeline. So, let me get out here. Yeah, that is not Anthony's private key, but we'll get to that. So, first, you get the team together. Usually infra comes first. Again, like I said, that's how the competition gets put up. So, we make the OpenStack and GitLab projects because that's where the competition is. And then you go and you take all of the previous competition's Terraform and you put it into the new one. And then you spend a lot of time updating that because obviously there's differences, especially for this year, for example. IRSeC used to be 15 teams, and this time it was 18. If you saw 21 teams on the scoreboard, I'll get to that, but that's stuff that like Black Team and Red Team uses. Management. So yeah, I've been saying management, especially when I was describing the Black teams. Hi, Anthony. And what is management? That's kind of the boxes that we deploy from. So there's management, and then there's teams. Yeah, you guys don't get to see management. That's why it's called management. I did like not think about how to define this. And I wrote destroy management accidentally. I'll also get to that. So after you put up management, you put up the team boxes. And that's when like the whole competition is kind of up. And then we can let the rest of the Black teams start doing stuff to the teams, like I mentioned before. Oh yeah, and this GIF, Genesis is one of the boxes that comes, that's like what comes before management, because where do you run your code if it's like to put up all the stuff, you know? So, yeah, this is gonna be useful. So to talk more about management, this is the Terraform. This is specifically, I think, in the competition management. This is the main, main.terraform from the competition management section. So there are a lot of boxes, and we're not gonna do all that by hand, so that's why we use Terraform. I think this looks really small to you guys, I'm sorry. But for example, we have really nice comments that describe, like, for example, the deploy box is, what does it say? To run team Terraform on, and then team Ansible sits on the management network. So yeah, again, you deploy from the deploy box. Pretty useful name. Scoring, the scoring host for ScoreStack. Yeah, we had a lot of different hosts because we had ScoreStack as the backup, but then we had Scorify and a Scorify 2, just to make sure that scoring really worked. We had an injects box. That's where you would submit your injects. And then we had, so yeah, also I'm talking about the public hosts on the right and the private hosts on the left. So like the private host, we host our own DNS, and there's 2 of them because you want DNS to work, so you have a backup. And other stuff like logging, it's internal. NTP, internal. Those are really useful stuff. That's kind of like how we actually have the things happen and how it works. And yeah, I mean, there's just like a lot of Terraform. I still don't know where I'm going. I just click around the files until I see what I'm looking for, and then I fix it. So yeah, and then Ansible. Yeah, to be more specific, so once you run the Terraform to put up those boxes, you would run the Ansible. So I grabbed like the specific, yeah, this is like the whole file tree. And specifically here, I'm in probably like deploy management, probably management.yaml. And then for this deploy host, it's gonna see, so you have roles, and the names are pretty descriptive. So it's gonna say install Terraform and Ansible on the deploy host, and then put private keys on there. We have the specific private key for IRSeC, pull the repo from it, and then like do some tmux things. I love tmux. So yeah, same thing here. You don't want to go in and manually configure all these things, so that's why we use Ansible. So yeah, as a recap of Terraform, it's like provision the stuff and like put the boxes on there. Ansible is like do stuff to the boxes. Oh yeah, and this is what it looks like in OpenStack. That's what we're doing all this stuff to, and that's where the competition is. These are like really, really big numbers. And also we set these quotas, so like I changed these quotas like multiple times when we realized that we needed more resources. Yeah, like I can't even read this number. Like these are really, really big numbers. And I changed the period to show this is about like the time that this stuff was up, or like when we started putting it up to today. And this is an even cooler view. This is what the competition network looks like in OpenStack. So like each of these little groups are the teams. And then in the middle is the competition network, which is connected way out there to the core router, which is connected to the RIT WAN. And then the floating ones are just like DemoNet and ClubNet. But yeah, this is actually like what is happening. Let's see. So when we were deploying, or like during the competition, you might have seen like the scoreboard being yellow. I think it's just because, okay, I'll try to explain it. I don't think this is the best explanation. When the way the scoring works is that there's like scoring minions that actually do the checks, and then the scoreboard updates at like a different interval than when they report back. So I think that's why it turned yellow, which is not a very descriptive color, I think, because it's kind of like, I don't know, between red and green. It makes sense, but Pissboard was kind of a meme. So we unfortunately saw some of that. But eventually we got Greenboard. This, I'm pretty sure I grabbed this from like the day before comp, and there's just a lot of like, there were stragglers where yeah guys, this was actually not part of it, that it was red there. Like there were so many things that we couldn't figure them out. And once it comes time to like deploy for the competition, and red team's deploying and black team's still fixing things, and we're still getting all the stuff together, it's really hard to tell what's wrong. And like, yeah, that's one of the big struggles of black team is this looks like the final product, it looks really good and cohesive, but behind the scenes, it's a little bit of a struggle. Speaking of problems, so yeah, like it's not unknown reasons, but sometimes it feels like they come out of nowhere. So like, notice the time on this. This is the night before competition, and we realized that the routers are just like not like it's not working. Let me think. What was the issue? They were. Oh, hey Zach. Let me see if I'm describing this right. So the ARP tables were incomplete, right? No. They were not flushing. What's up? If you want to. Okay, you don't have to. All right. Yeah, exactly. This is all that matters. It didn't work, and we didn't know why, and we couldn't fix it. Even Zachary Networking Price couldn't fix it. This got passed through like so many people, guys. Like, when we say it's a problem, it's a problem. But eventually, a big part of Black Team is like encountering these problems and then finding workarounds to them. So we were fine, and like I had to revert 2 routers, I think, during the competition, and it went fine. But it wasn't the way it was supposed to happen. And then yeah, it's just like stuff happens, everything's red, you don't know why, you go and fix it. That's Black Team. Yeah. And then sometimes it was our fault, like, quick story. Very early on, we got confused with the concept of SSH keys. And we learned that you should not change the cloud init files that are in the Terraform, because then every time you deploy, it actually just like wipes the boxes, because yeah. So like the way it compares, there's like a Terraform state file. It says, oh, this is different. Let me redo it. Oh, let me do it again. It's still different. It's just, you can't get into the box. It's all bad. And then a little bit later on, actually pretty far into the development of the competition, we kind of took down management because we ran the wrong thing on the boxes. And then this happened while black teamers were actively deploying stuff. And then it was down for a few hours. Sorry guys, I think this is 2 weeks before comp. So yeah, stuff happens, but it's okay because we still win, guys. Look at all this green. Look at this. I was so happy when I got that VPN up. And then we did get a green board eventually. We got you guys a good competition, I hope. And yeah, so you know, we get through these problems. Now, let me talk about Flashback. So this is a screenshot of the original Flashback tool written by Malik, who has graduated. But basically, this helps with doing manual reverts, this helps to not do manual reverts of things in the competition because it's hard. And like, for example, if someone asked me to do a revert in the competition, I have to go get the box, I have to get all the attributes from that existing instance. For example, like the ports, flavor, and like the volume, snapshot, whatever it is. So just really quickly, OpenStack vocab. So the flavor is the resources, it's like a categorization of the resources we give the box, like RAM and storage. And then just RAM, just storage. Neither of those things, help me. RAM and CPU, okay. And then basically instances are actually, instance is a pretty self-describing word, right? But you can create an instance from a volume or a snapshot. So we take snapshot, oh, I forgot, I definitely wanted to mention this. We take snapshots of the competition first when we get a full green board with no red team on it. So it's like clean boxes, everything's up, everything's ready for the competition. And then we take another round of snapshots, like of every single box for the blue teamers after red team deploys. And it's still green, but it's like red team pre-baked. So when people request reverts during the competition, ideally, I would go into Flashback and I would press a button and it would just revert back to the red team snapshot. So, yeah, it's just hard to do that manually because you want to make sure you grab all the right information. And then you have to delete the box, which is scary. Then you make the new one with all that info. And then you have to go into console and manually update it because, as you guys know, you go into console to actually get access to the box. So, yeah, it connects to OpenStack that way. And yeah, it's a lot of work and it's pretty stressful. So, Flashback, this is what it looked like before. And then I've been kind of working on it. This is a screenshot of a web page now. So yeah, that was a CLI tool. This is a web page. Yeah, it didn't look like this in ISDS. It looked really bad. But basically, this version, it does things a little differently based on the stuff that we've learned about OpenStack functionality over past competitions. And yeah, it's like convenient features. Basically, like you can revert a specific box if you realize that like red team did a break and it actually like broke a bunch of things. You can just revert that box for all the teams. You can revert a specific box. So that's like when you guys buy reverts. Snapshot the specific box because that's actually useful in the beginning because, for example, I think like Linux was ready, so I went in and snapshotted the Linux for Team 19, which is our test team, but not Windows. And then we would snapshot the entire competition for those green board and red team snapshots. Oh yeah, and then I want to talk about like how it's integrated with console. So you see that's the stack is a provider for it, and then Flashback is a service account, and there's like a cool file that's just the console. It uses the console API to integrate with Flashback. So yeah, what Flashback does is it automatically does all the stuff behind the scenes, and ideally updates console. It actually didn't work this time around, so I have to fix that. But yeah, it makes it much easier because it's pretty stressful to like go away from what you're doing and just like go revert a box when there's a lot of other stuff going on. So that's Flashback, cool tool. Story time. So this is, all right. This is 1 a.m. Saturday, 2 a.m., okay, fine, sure. Very early on Saturday morning. You see this huge dip, that's us turning off every single box. And this is what it looked like. Okay, no, 1 a.m. So this is us turning it off because it's good practice to turn off the boxes before you snapshot them, okay? and then they turn right back on, and it's all good. It jumps up to about where it was. Then, around 6 a.m., day of competition, you see that drop, and then you see the line that stays at that drop. The stack like ran out of storage, and yeah, that's why the competition was delayed. Sorry guys, but we had to go buy more storage and plug it in. And it worked, guys. It worked. But yeah, so the way, just to give like a little bit more detail, the way it works is when it reaches 85% capacity, 95, which is really close to 100, it stops working. It does not let you write any more stuff. It's read only, and that's not good because this was like without anyone touching the competition. So obviously there's going to be more load on it when blue teamers are hands on. So we were very concerned, and it just was not working. But thankfully, a lot of our ops members and I guess previous info members fixed it, and we were good to go. That's probably like 9:30 a.m. right there. So we made it, but there's a lot of stress behind the scenes. That's just like another thing that happened. Let me see this. Oh, okay, yeah, just another like, this is, 6:50 a.m. That's when we realized it's not going well. You see all those warnings and criticals? That should not be there. Yeah. Thanks, John Arundel. That's our ops lead, guys. He's so smart, and he helped us. All right, and now it's just like, I talked to some people on blue team and red team and black team, I guess, about their thoughts. So this is what I have. First of all, read the rules. Do not delete users like white team. Please, there's a packet for a reason. And like you get points taken off if you do that. Don't do that. Also do your research and like don't delete cloud init because that's also something that's meant to be there. White teamers, understand that white teamers are often like first years or they weren't involved in building the competition necessarily, so they're just like extra hands for us because we do need a lot of help with setting up the competition, and we're very thankful for them. But I know that like when I was blue teaming, I would just like raise my hand and just like grab random people walking past thinking that they knew how to help me, but then they couldn't, and I felt bad. So black team is there to help you. Also red team, sometimes there to help you, sometimes there to trick you. That's just kind of roll the dice. Yeah, there's a lot of waiting on the competition. As I heard, I wasn't really there in the beginning, like in this room. But yeah, a lot of the stuff we use is like, all the stuff we use is like built by students. So can you wait till the end? So like, yeah, this is all custom stuff that, won't work 100%. Like when console just like turned off for everyone in the middle of the competition, but then it turned right back on. It was just a little fix. It's okay. Stuff happens, like little blips like that. But in the end, I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And like, yeah, just like patience is good. Understand that people are working hard to make this happen. Yeah, I only did a few reverts during the competition. That's like a really useful thing to do. I don't know what it said in the store, like as the description, but yeah, like I said, it basically like puts your box back to the state it was right when red team like stopped pre-baking all their tools. So if you accidentally lock yourself out or something, or okay, maybe that's not fixable, but with specific things, if you break the box, you can buy a revert, and it will help you like in the long run with uptime rather than trying to save those points on other things. But yeah, they're really useful, and also I just want to use the tool that I worked hard on. But yeah, just in general, like I said, use your resources. Like I don't know what else the store had. I think it had black team help or red team help. Like these are good things. I don't know if they were like too expensive to buy, but use them more or just ask for help. And then, oh yeah, let me officially explain. So Team 19 was our red team test team. Sorry guys, red team test team. So that's where red team would deploy before deploying to the entire comp, so they didn't break things. Team 20, if you notice during the competition, it stayed green, or it should have, because that was the black team test team, and it was just a clean version. So yeah, that's like to compare what the highest possible score is. And then Team 21 wasn't actually competing. It was just members of the CCDC team because they wanted to use IRSeC as practice. So if you saw them in the competition, like that wasn't part of it also. Oh yeah, and I wanted to include a picture of my blue team in IRSeC back in the day. So yeah, and then some red team thoughts. So yeah, this is just like words from the red team. They did have access to everything at all times. It would have been nice to have more time to deploy. This IRSeC felt a little bit rushed towards the end just because we had so many issues at once in that last week or two, because we usually try to get a full green board 2 weeks before. But yeah, there's problems that happen. You can't do something like that all the time. But yeah, part of that is like red team waits for black team to get all that stuff done. So it's a long process of getting things working. And then just having more fun, being more involved with the theme and connecting with the competitors more. That's just stuff I heard that they wanted to do. It's pretty cool. What else? Okay, my final thoughts. What are my thoughts? I don't know. It's fun. I think it's really fun to be on black team. Yeah, like I said, I was in IRSeC as blue team 1 year ago, like in the last IRSeC. I'm a second year now. I got to be on infra for ISTS. I got to be on infra for IRSeC. Hopefully I'll be on infra for the next ISTS. And I find it really fun to like be on the behind the scenes end of it and like building all this stuff. And just like, I don't know, it's a huge time commitment, but for me it's really fulfilling and like it teaches you a lot. Yeah, so I guess like with this presentation in general, I just want to like appreciate the whole black team because I've been repeating this. It's like you go in there, like for me, I was blue team. I did not realize like how much work went into this, and it's really cool. And it's just like all student run. Like we're just like putting in time on our like free time to do this, and it's really cool. Any questions? Yes. What is my favorite story from being on black team? Ever. I mean, I'll tell the story of like the first time I pulled up to ISTS infra. I think I like it was Drew and Ariana Schwartz, like in one of the labs upstairs, and I came and then Drew started explaining everything to me, and like I didn't understand any of it whatsoever. And it's just like I think that's kind of indicative of like you can have like a certain amount of knowledge or like zero knowledge in my case, and then you can come really far from where you started. That sounds like really corny actually, but no, it was just funny because I was trying to cram everything into my brain after like 2 hours of just them explaining things to me, and I think some of it stayed maybe, but yeah, it's like it's okay to like not understand things when upperclassmen are talking at you and you don't get it. Yes, Garrett. If I was a scored service, which one would I be and why? Probably SSH. It's the classic, you know? No, you don't know? Okay, too bad. Why? Because I said so. Yeah? How long ago did I learn about what the command grep does in Linux? So, I would say approximately 7 months ago. I learned it in ISTS infra. Guys, I did not know many Linux commands back in the day. It's okay, now I know everything, so it's okay. Yeah. Oh, let me repeat the question. Why were the console boxes all white screen for the first 10 minutes? Red team. Blame red team. It just, yeah, like again, the infrastructure does not work fully sometimes. Guys, this is a secret red team tool that they don't want you to know about. Yes, stuff doesn't work sometimes, like I said. I hope you, I mean, I'm assuming you guys got that fixed, right? Eventually. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it happens. That's all I got. I don't really know. I can't explain console behind the scenes a lot. It could be some kind of like communication issue with OpenStack. What's the most important tool I've learned being on black team? I wouldn't like. Are we talking tool? Or are we talking skill? Tool. I mean Terraform and skill. Okay. I'll start with the skill then. Skill, being able to learn. Think about it, guys. Thank you. No, seriously though. Because it's a lot of like figuring stuff out. And like again, we are all students and we're all spending as much time as we can on this, but sometimes you just have to like do the thing you're told to do, and like figure it out. That sounds really mean. I don't know. That's just how I do things, at least. Tool. Did I learn TMUX from Infra? I like TMUX a lot, guys. Search it up. It's cool. I'm not going to talk about it a lot right now. Also, like, I mean, I talked about this. Terraform, Ansible, OpenStack, those are like the big 3 things. And like, they're really useful. I guess Ansible is better because I also use it for Red Team. Yeah, that's all I got. How many hours of sleep did I get? I actually take my sleep very seriously. I will go to sleep, guys. If it's not working, I'm going to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. It works though. But don't like lose sleep over these things. Seriously. Especially for ISTS, since it's like a multi-day thing, a lot of people stay up on the second night before the second day, or sorry, on the first night before the second day doing stuff. And like, yeah, it is for the competition, but also you have to like take care of yourself. And that's important, especially if it's like a long-term commitment. You can't just like not be getting any sleep for weeks. So, basically, how do you become Black Team? I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but yeah, we do post announcements, sometime before the competitions happen, where you could just fill out a form and say, I'm interested in being on Black Team. And then, depending on like your preferences and stuff like that, and like the needs of Black Team, and just how many people we can handle, hopefully you'll get on. But that's it. That's all it takes. Compared to what? Oh, okay. So, he said, I'm kind of confused on the difference between a Terraform and Ansible YAML file versus a Docker one. I don't really know Docker. Terraform and Ansible, though. Let's go back. So, first of all, Terraform is not YAML. I actually don't know what this is. It's .terraform, JSON. Yeah, so, yeah, it's weird. But, are you asking about, like, the structure or what it does? Unfortunately, I cannot compare it to Docker because I don't know Docker. We got an expert coming in to answer the question. I repeated the question. That one, compared to Docker. Let me try to repeat that. So Docker helps you spin up things on your own system, and Terraform helps you like actually make VMs. Maybe. All right. Any more questions? Yes. No, it is not. Let me think. Okay, I don't know any Docker because I have not encountered it in my contributions to IRSeC. So yeah, just to repeat that. Scorify did use Docker containers, and there was a Docker score check for the blue teams.